What is up, my guys? Welcome back to the channel known as Azure. As always, I'm your most endearing of host, Daniel, and today we're going to be talking about a little TV show known as Dexter. A show that ran from 2006 to about 2013, 2014, follows the life of Dexter Morgan, Miami Metro homicides blood splatter analyst, and well, the fact that he kills people. So yeah, let's get into it. Mainly for this one, I'm going to be talking about seasons 1 and 2 because, well, there's 8 seasons of the show, and if I talk about it, we're going to be here for a long time. So if anything, this whole TV show is probably going to be split up into about 4 or so episodes maybe, because I'm doing 2 by 2 by 2. But anyways, let's get on to season 1. Season 1 follows Dexter Morgan, Dexter Morgan, getting ahead of myself a bit. And, well, he's a guy who works from a Miami Metro homicide division. And he also tends to be a serial killer, actually. But the thing is, though, he only kills killers, like people who he thinks deserves to die, in a sense, like because he follows a code that his dad taught him, Harry Morgan. He's technically his adopted father because, well, this season will explores Dexter mainly in his past and how he became to be. Well, because, well, how else are you going to start a series about a main character? Yeah, well, do a deep dive into his backstory. And that's how the season goes along with. Now, the first episode starts with a bit of a surprise. Like, it starts off regular, like Dexter killing someone because, well, he killed 3 innocent boys because, well, he's sick in the head. And in a sense, like, the main plot of this first episode is him following a new kind of killer, one who cuts up his victims surgically and evenly. But the thing is, though, he drains the victim's blood, like post-mortem, like meaning he kills them and drains the blood. That's really what post-mortem means. And the thing is, though, like, we don't know why he's doing this, and we don't know how he's keeping these bodies preserved, but it's later figured out that he's using an ice truck to keep the bodies cold and well preserved, which dubs the name the Ice Truck Killer. And that's basically what the whole story is going to be around for season 1. Dexter trying to figure out who the Ice Truck Killer is, and in a sense, the Ice Truck Killer knows exactly who Dexter is, but we don't know that because, well, that's the whole mystery. We later find out as the series goes on that the Ice Truck Killer turns out to be Dexter's biological brother. I think his name is Brian Moser. So Dexter's real name turns out to be Dexter Moser. His mother was, I believe, Linda Moser. And so we figure this out throughout the season because, well, we get flashbacks here and there. We get a little bit of exposition through Brian, who we thought was someone else because he ends up killing someone and takes their identity as, well, a prosthetics doctor or a prosthetic surgeon, in which he supplies prosthetics to patients. And so we found out he's Dexter's biological brother. Dexter and Brian were both in a shipping container, and they witnessed their mother being hacked apart with a chainsaw. And goddamn, that is very, very gruesome. Brian, I believe, was 5 at the time. Dexter was 3. Just imagine that, being a 3-year-old, watching your mother being hacked to pieces by a chainsaw. And we don't know why she was hacked to pieces, though. That's left a mystery for future season. But for right now, we just thought of this, like, Dexter Morgan witnessed his mom get chopped up into bits by a chainsaw by a drug cartel. That's all we know. And what we know also is that at that moment, Dexter and his brother were both turned into sociopaths, in a sense. Or psychopaths, however you want to say, because I know there's a difference between the two. Psychopaths are normally born that way, while sociopaths are usually created by their environment, which I guess in a sense you could say Dexter and Brian are both sociopaths because their environment created them, because before their mother died, or essentially before their mother was killed, they were essentially normal people, normal little boys. But yeah, Dexter gets adopted by Harry Morgan, and Brian Moser gets, well, put into a mental institute because, well, unlike Dexter, who's able to forget this event, Brian actually remembers it throughout his whole life and, well, develops more of a violent psychopathy, where he turns out to be the Ice Truck Killer, which I mentioned previously. And, well, there's also a little subplot where he and Deborah, Dexter's foster sister, end up dating and actually getting engaged for a good episode. But that's a whole ploy because Brian wants Dexter to actually kill Deborah so that way he and Dexter could be a family again. Because all he sees is Deborah is a fake sister, someone who suppresses Dexter's inner demons when Brian's actually trying to release them so Dexter could be his true self. Because throughout the season, Dexter is actually trying to fight off his dark passenger, as he says. Like, he's able to subdue it by killing killers, but all in all, throughout the season, we figure out like Dexter literally just wants to kill, because that's what he saw, and that's what messed him up as a kid. And like, think about it: if you saw like your family get killed in front of you, you're gonna have pretty dark thoughts, and you're gonna want to like kill people, also. But yeah, I digress. The season ends with Dexter actually killing his own brother, almost the same way he killed his own victims. But he puts his brother on a table, lifts him upside down with gravity boots, and slices his throat. And like, it's hard to see. Like, you want to see this guy die, but you also want to see Dexter be happy. And the only way Dexter can really be happy, in a sense, is if he's able to be himself in a way. Like, he's able to kill people freely. He's able to actually talk about killing people with someone who understands what it's like to go through him. Like, and plus, it's his brother. It's literally like his only actual blood family left. Like, just imagine that. Like, he had to witness his mom die, but now he himself has to kill his own brother. It's gonna mess you up, right? Even if your brother turns out to be an evil person, like, just to kill your own family member is gonna mess you up. And you can even see it in his eyes. And he even says to Brian, as he's about to say, like, "Do you think I want to do this? I don't want to have to do this, but you give me no choice." That's literally like what he's going through. Like, it's a whole struggle. Like, he doesn't want to kill his brother, but he also wants to protect his sister, because he knows that if he lets Brian live, he's not gonna stop until he kills Deborah. He's not gonna stop until he, quote unquote, frees his brother. But that's season 1. It delves into more Dexter's past, fleshes him out as a character. It's actually a pretty solid season in a sense. There's not really much to like give a negative context in a sense. I mean, you could say like the whole subplot with Deborah and Brian being a romantic couple is a bit rushed. Like, they could have delved like a whole episode to it, but like, that's not really what it's meant to be. Like, in a sense, like, it's more so just fleshing out the characters by themselves, like, not really their relationships. Because all in all, Dexter also has a subplot where he's dating a person named Rita Bennett. Like, she and Dexter have a relationship, and it's actually a pretty strong one. Like, you kind of feel the connection between the two. And there's also a subplot where Rita's ex, Paul Bennett, comes in the picture, and well, he's a drug user, he's an abuser, he's a rapist towards Rita. And like, Dexter actually turns out to be the hero in this case, where he frames Paul for going back on the wagon because he's supposed to be in rehabilitation program, and he, in a sense, like, knocks him out, injects him with heroin, and that violates the three strikes rule in Miami, and he gets put in jail. So that's the end of that. And well, Paul ends up dying in prison. So that happens. But yeah, all in all, first season, all is pretty solid. Like, I can see what people got in, why we're engaged in the season to begin with. Like, you have all this mystery, you have all these twists and turns, you have these cool characters that you don't really think would catch your attention, but you really do. Anyways, on to season 2. Season 2 takes place about a month or so after Dexter kills Brian. Now, in this one, it delves more into Dexter's social life. We get more of Rita, we get more of Dexter being out in the open, we get more of Sergeant Dokes. Now, Sergeant Dokes is an interesting character in and of itself. He is Sergeant of Miami Metro Homicide Division, but unlike the rest of the people, where they all see Dexter as kind of like a normal person with his quirks here and there, he actually can see Dexter for who he is. Like, he knows that Dexter's up to some weird shit, and like, he always has one eye on Dexter. He always calling him like a fucking, well, to quote him, a fucking creep. That's what he calls Dexter almost all the time. Like, all no, like, in this season though, Dokes actually follows Dexter no matter everywhere he goes. So Dexter is literally cannot kill anyone, because if he does, Dokes is gonna catch him. Dokes is gonna find out that he is a killer, and well, he's gonna try to either kill Dexter or arrest him or do something else. Speaking of which, Dexter has been dumping his bodies into the ocean because, well, that's probably the best way to get rid of them. Like, he puts rocks in the trash bags, as he also cuts up his victims because it's easier to get rid of the body that way. But we find out, and I think episode 2 of season 2, a bunch of divers go into the ocean looking for treasure, and they find his burial ground, in a sense. Like, they find his burial ground. Like, we see bodies upon bodies upon bodies just there lining across the ocean floor. Like, it's an impressive shot, actually. You think that Dexter had only started killing like a few months after the series started, but no, this literally shows that he's been killing for years upon years, and to the point where literally there's just skeletons on the ocean floor. Like, the bags have all degraded away, and there's literally just skeletons on there. That in and of itself leads to the whole main story of this, where they find the bodies, they mark them down. The FBI gets involved, and we get introduced to probably one of the best characters of season 2, Frank Lundy, FBI agent superstar. He's been able to crack cold cases, been able to crack all sorts of other cases by serial killers, and like literally everyone respects him in and of itself throughout the precinct. And I literally thought he was gonna be like this whole macho man and like talk shit about everything, but no, he's literally a likable character. You actually want him to be a series regular by the time the season ends. And so it's like he's put on this case because, well, there's a whole ocean full of dead bodies, and like you can't really have that just to be dedicated to one little precinct. No, you have to get the FBI involved in this. The fucking FBI are involved in Dexter, and the whole season revolves around Dexter trying to stay one step ahead of Frank Lundy, so he saves his identity, and in itself, like, he doesn't get caught. But he also doesn't want to kill Lundy, which he can't because he doesn't fit the code of Harry, which is the code I mentioned earlier, where a person has to deserve being killed, i.e. they have to be a killer in themselves, or they have to premeditate kills, or they have to have committed such a heinous crime that actually involves them killing. Mainly, that last part isn't really applicable to Dexter killing, but they do show that then the people he kills doesn't really have to be killers, but they have to have either knowledge of wanting to kill someone or actually take steps towards killing someone. I'll probably get more in depth into the Code of Harry as later on in videos, probably towards more season 4, which I'm really excited to talk about. Anyways, season 2 also has a more in-depth subplot about Dexter's relationship with Rita, because Rita, in a sense, finds out that Dexter framed Paul for being on drugs, and she thinks, my bad, that Dexter only knew how to get the drugs because he's also on drugs, and Dexter just rolls with it. That makes Rita want him to go through the whole 12-step program. He does for a day, then he quits, but then Rita breaks up with him, but then he goes back to her saying, okay, I'll do the program. And there we meet probably one of the most interesting characters I've ever met in this show, Lila. Literally Lila. Her name is Lila. And I forget her last name because it's really like she's an important character, but at the same time she's not that important. Like, her name's just Lila. That's all I remember. But what's important about her is that she ends up being Dexter's quote unquote sponsor for his regulars, but Dexter and Rita end up breaking up through the season because, well, he kind of slept with Lila, like, not inadvertently. He slept with Lila inadvertently because he and Lila went on a trip to find one of the men who killed Dexter's mom, and they find it more deep inside Florida in a bar, and they end up getting a hotel room. They don't do anything at that hotel room, but Rita breaks up with Dexter because, well, he's in a hotel room with a girl who he finds attractive, and she also finds attractive because, well, she kind of is attractive in a sense. I don't see the appeal, but I guess some people can. But Rita breaks up with him. Dexter goes to Lila's house with a whole rant because he's in a mood because Frank is on his tail. Rita broke up with him, and he can't really express the emotions he's going through in a sense because, well, no one understands his emotions because no one knows what he's actually going through. And things heat up, and they end up sleeping together. And this is a whole subplot where we actually find out that Lila is an obsessive person, like literally, really an obsessive person. Like, her last boyfriend, she burned down his house. She burned down her last boyfriend's house because he was about to leave her. Like, if that doesn't give you red flags about leave this bitch alone or leave this bitch in period, you just dumb. You dumb. Like, everyone knows the first rule is don't stick your dick in crazy. Like, come on. You cannot stick your dick in crazy because otherwise that shit gets attached and you about to lose your life if something happens, which Dexter actually almost does, because as the series goes on, Lila becomes more unhinged, and she ends up burning her own apartment down as a way to keep Dexter involved in her life. And then she ends up kidnapping Rita's kids, framing fellow detective Angel Batista, which I'll get into more so in season 3 and 4, because he plays more of a role in that one, but he's more of a background character here. And like she in a sense threatens Dexter's whole life, like literally, just because he wanted to get back with Rita, and he did not want to see her because he knew that Lila wasn't good for him. Like that's literally it. It's literally just, oh my god, this girl is crazy. You hate her, but you also, I don't know what it is about her that makes you want to say, like, you're entranced, I guess, in a sense. Like the actress that plays her really like makes you entranced in the way she is. Like it makes you wonder like what it is that she's gonna do next, in a sense. Like back to Dokes, like he figures out Dexter's a Bay Harbor butcher, which is what Lundy calls the killer, because well they're in a bay. He cuts them up in a butchery way, and he uses a cleaver, like a butcher knife cleaver. So he's dubbed the Bay Harbor Butcher. And so, yeah, that's Dexter's name, according to the Miami Metro Homicide and according to the FBI. So Dokes ends up getting framed because he finds out who Dexter actually is. Dexter inadvertently frames Dokes to be the Bay Harbor Butcher. But the thing is, before Dokes can actually clear his name, Lila kills him. Lila kills Sergeant Dokes. And just as people are warming up to Dokes actually wanting to be the hero of this season, because in the first season he was more of an asshole, but since this season he gets more characterization, people actually get like, attached to him more. So he dies. Lila literally blows him up because he's in a cabin, he's trapped in a cage. She turns on the gas, lights the flame, and about a minute later, boom, he's done. He's blown up. He's thrown into the bayou, to the water, whatever you want to call it. And like he's dead. People think he's a Bay Harbor Butcher. Dexter gets off scot-free. But now that Lila's killed someone, she fits the code. She fits Harry's code. And so Dexter flies off to meet her because she ran away to Paris. Dexter flies to meet her and kills her, which I will say is kind of unceremonious. I would say, like, we don't get the whole injection which he usually does. We don't get the table. We don't get the pictures. We don't get any kind of scene. It's literally just him talking to her while she's paralyzed, because she does get the shot, but different kind of shot. Doesn't knock her out, just paralyzes her. And we just get a stab. That's about it. Stab through the heart. I don't want to say it's a terrible death, but it's also not that good of a death compared to how Brian Moser died in season 1. Like, I get it. There's not that much of a connection between Dexter and Lila, how there was between Dexter and Brian. But come on, this is basically the main antagonist to the season, and it's not really that much of a send off to her in a sense. But yeah, that kicks off season 2 and 1, and I'll probably start off season 3 later on. But all in all, this series is started off pretty well. Like the premise of this, in a sense, making the protagonist an actual serial killer, is actually really uncommon for this time period. Like this was 2006. Like everyone to them was either a good guy or bad guy. There wasn't really that much seen in anti-heroism, in a sense, because that's what Dexter is. He's an anti-hero. Anti-hero, if you guys don't know, is a person who does good, but doesn't necessarily do it in the good way. Like an example of an anti-hero be Venom, in a sense, like, or the Punisher, or the Red Hood, or something like that. A person who crosses the line of good and evil in order to fulfill the greater cause of good. They'll kill, they'll beat, they'll do anything they can to make sure good always lands up on top. And that's what Dexter is. He's an anti-hero, and that's really not what we saw that much back in 2006. So for them to actually have this is actually pretty daring. It's a pretty daring move. I'll give it that. But Michael C. Hall, the Dexter's actor, Michael C. Hall, he portrays Dexter in a very charismatic way. He makes the people want to feel what Dexter's feeling, in a sense. Like he does like inner monologues to show what Dexter's actually thinking, because sometimes what he's saying isn't really what he's thinking, in a sense. So the inner monologue is actually what his true self, in a sense, and that actually plays a big role in season 4 and 3 and later on. So, which I really want to get into, because season 4 is probably the best one. Either way, I digress. But yeah, I want to say, like, this show when it was released, like I'm pretty sure it really caught people off guard in a sense. Like people probably thought he was like a good guy who didn't really do all that much, but I'm pretty sure previews were hiding the fact that he was actually a serial killer. But I'm pretty sure people who read the books, because this also is based on a book series, which I'll probably get into after I read it, or if you guys actually want me to read the books. Again, like these books are kind of long, so I have one of them. I have the first book. I have that one, which I'm getting into reading right now, and it's kind of long, but I'll probably do my whole run through. I'll probably do a whole comparison too. But anyways, yeah, literally, this show probably would not have happened if it was made in the 90s or anything like that. But early 2000s were more of an experimental time, so I guess that was a perfect time to actually show what an anti-hero could do, and what an anti-hero could be charismatic, could be seen as a good person but still do bad things. Plus, anti-heroism is technically more relatable than a hero in a sense. Like, you look at characters like Superman, you look at characters like Wonder Woman, like Captain America, they all do good, but they won't cross that line into doing what actually needs to be done. Like, people want to be like them, but they know that really they can't. They can't be completely good to themselves and to other people. So we look to anti-heroes more so because they have flaws in a sense. Like, superheroes and heroes in itself, they're seen as gods among men in a sense. They're being put on top of pillars. They're seen with people who have no flaws whatsoever. But anti-heroes, they have flaws. They have actual flaws to their character, and they really actually can relate to people more so because they have desires. They have desires that they act upon. They have regrets. Of course, heroes in themselves have regrets, but the thing is, though, their regrets don't really hit as hard because they know they could do something, but they chose not to. No matter what, they chose not to do what they want to do. Well, anti-heroes, if they choose not to do something they know is right, it hits harder for them because they know they would have done it if they actually wanted to choose to. Yeah, that's more my 2 cents of what it meant for how the show was done, what it meant in order for what the show is seen as by people, and like it shows like this show can really, like, I honestly thought after watching season 1, I thought that would be it. Like there would be no season 2 and no season on so on forth, but no, this show ran for 8 seasons and I was surprised. But yeah, anyways, if you guys like this video, you guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Again, share the video. I know most of you guys like want to watch these videos just because you like them, but even if you don't like them, share the video. You guys might know people who do. You guys might know people who want to say, oh no, this show sucked ass and I don't know why you guys watch it, but show them the video. Like, this show honestly is pretty good, and like I'll recommend it to you guys. It's on Netflix right now. I don't know if it is. It's actually getting a revival series, one mini series, 11 episodes, I believe. But yeah, it's getting a revival because, well, people didn't really like the ending of the season 8, which I'll get to in a later video. But yeah, share the video, like it, do whatever the hell you want to it. As always, if you guys want to get more in touch with me, I'll leave links to Twitch and Discord in the description. But yeah, see you guys in the next video, and hopefully, well, see you guys in future videos too. All right, see ya.